All right, we are recording. Let me give you host capabilities. And so the floor is yours, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. How long do I got, brother?
You got 30 minutes.
30 minutes. All right, I'll kick it off. So, guys, my name is Jimmy Graham. Nice to meet you guys. Quick background, veteran SEAL for about 15 years. That's active and reserve time. And then I worked for the CIA for about 7 years for GRS, Global Response Staff. It was actually my team in Benghazi, Libya. I was the team lead 3 weeks prior to what became the 13 hours attack. Shortly, let's see, before that, actually, I started a company called Duty to Act LLC. That's actually the name of the company now, but we have a trade name, Able Shepherd, very active in the South Denver area. But now nationally, people come down to get a certificate from us. It's funny, like talking to vets, when you ask people, "Hey, are you any good with your gun?" They say, "I feel pretty good." And I'm like, "It's not a feeling, it's a standard. Could you show me you're good?" So there's shooting paper is one thing, but tactically responding in a school, let's say, is actually where the rubber meets the road. So what I want to talk to you guys about was National Preparedness Month, which is September, and that covers a lot. I put out videos throughout the entire month talking about what does preparedness even mean. It might mean getting your house ready, checking on your stuff. It might be vehicle. It might be home. It actually might be after a couple crazy weeks, physical protection. So based on me, man of faith, and I lead with that. So I'd say preparation. I had it out here somewhere. My Bible's somewhere around here. I would say start with first things first. I want to be a prepper and get beans and bullets and live longer than anybody, and then lead my family to hell. And I would disagree with that. So that's just me personally. That's where I would start with. Oh, it's right here. So as far as preparation, I would say this is number one, right? And it maybe even have something in the taped in the front to be able to actually do that work and lead somebody into eternity. Um, Next, talking about around the house, some videos that I posted recently, or business. So home or business, all of this more so than the SEAL teams, I would say with GRS, Global Response Staff, small unit tactics, they had a model of very few people and being able to work in different environments. And the tactics, the foundation of it fit exactly over a church, a school, a business. So if people, let's just say a business doesn't allow firearms, then the onus is on you to protect them. Now, if it's a higher risk, like schools, I wouldn't call them high risk, I'd call them high cost. So if you've got children, when you go to a school or a church, you know it's not likely that there's going to be an attack happen, or you wouldn't leave them at the kids' wing, right? But it's high cost because they are happening. And as we watch the news and with whether it be Irina Zarovka or the shooting that happened here locally in Evergreen, Colorado on the same day of the Charlie Kirk assassination. This isn't a surprise anymore. We're actually going a little bit numb to it, which is unfortunate. But that's where my heart's at, right? So pursuing the hearts of men and then modeling a stronger future for children is exactly what I'll be doing for the rest of my life. Now, the physical is the third thing. I would say spiritual, mental, and physical. But right now, we'll just talk about preparation in any of those venues. So you can think about this for your business. You could think about this for your home or maybe your church. And we call it the Defend training modules. And actually, I'm going to go ahead. How do I do this, brother? Go to share and then see if
Yep,
the,
share screen.
okay. Open system settings. What happened here? Let's try that. Uh-oh. I don't do that. Actually, I'm not going to do that because it's going to, it said I'd have to leave because the settings weren't on. That's okay. I don't need to share it. I just had a couple documents that I was going to share. I'll start with this one. Um, So you've heard of run, hide, fight, and a lot of places we go into, whether you're the boss or your staff or it is your kid's school, run, hide, fight started in Texas about a dozen years ago, right? It said, hey, if you hear shots fired, what do? You run, you hide, you fight. And then class dismissed. And I'm like, hold on a second. We see people that point to it and talk to run, hide, fight. They check off for a year. Like the alert training in Texas, I was actually down in Uvalde right after that shooting, talking to those people about solutions. And they had just qualified or recertified in their alert training. Alert stands for something. Um, but both law enforcement and the school both just recertified, and it was probably the biggest failure in the history of ever was 77 minutes of waiting while kids died. I think that's unacceptable, right? So instead of run, hide, fight, that was delivered chronologically. If you can't run, then hide. If you can't run or hide, then fight. Um, Emergencies don't work that way. They're not chronological, and you never taught anybody how to run, where to hide, or how to fight. You just talked about it, and that's not fair. Again, that's not a standard. So we took a swing at it with defend training modules. I can send you guys this if you wish, but it's defense, evacuate, fortify, emergency medical aid, notify others in your immediate area, and dial 911. So what does that mean? Well, right off the top, it says the situation will dictate the order of these modules. It means an adult's got to walk in the room and remind people it's your job to defend your life. Like it's your job to save your own life, right? Now, somebody save me. You need to have some things in mind and you need to spend some time thinking about it. We say create those neural pathways so you can revisit them. Not like there's something happening and I don't know what to do. And you need to do it for your whole staff. So and actually have drills. So if the situation dictates, then how do I know which one to do? Everybody wants somebody tell me what to do, and it's simply not possible. Because if you're by a door with a bunch of kids, I would say evacuate, like leave. If you turn the corner and saw somebody shooting at children, I would say go into defend mode, which means go over there and neutralize the threat. If it was fortify, I would say if you couldn't get out of there, you see the shooter coming, you should lock the door, but it should be a good door. I don't say lock door because people call glass doors fortified when they're locked. And I'm like, it's glass. They're like, but it's locked. I'm like, that's glass, right? At some point, it's common sense has to come in and say, guys, you locked a glass door. Then they shot through the door, Tennessee, and walked right in and killed children. We must learn from that, right? So, fortify. Emergency medical aid. A lot of this was born from the special operations community in war zones, and then they bring it back home. And where does it land for people that are salvageable for the lady in the office, right? It means wound packing, chest seals, and tourniquets. If you can learn tourniquets, wound packing, and chest seals, you can save a life potentially if they're salvageable. Some people are just gone, and that's unfortunate, but it doesn't always mean with a gun you can save lives. Like if a little girl comes in, I've got 4 kids, I've got 3 daughters and a son. They come in, they're bleeding out. I would appreciate it if you made that bleed out stop, right? So she doesn't need a surgeon. I'm not a tourniquet, she needs a surgeon. We need blood in her when she gets to the surgeon, or this is all for naught, right? So we need to understand that and go through that kind of training is, I think, mandatory for anybody watching children, even in the office. This can be fun stuff. It's not all gloom and doom. You can bring in food. You can teach all this stuff. Notify others in your immediate area. On the end, that just means sometimes people like on campuses or large buildings, there could be a gun going full auto and you wouldn't even know it upstairs, right? Closed doors, different levels, whatever. They're very much in danger, life and death danger, and they don't know it. So they need to understand this, right? So they need to, if you could hit a button, perhaps they could save themselves. The shooter goes down to their floor and they're gone. So notification systems that aren't fire alarms. So fire alarm is a different thing, something saying, hey, there's an emergency and it's not a fire. So your situational awareness should be up while you're looking. Say, look before you leap. You look and then lead people. Then you look and then lead people. You look, it's dangerous, find another route, turn around, right? And then the last one, D, is for dial 911. So dial 911. The cavalry is not even coming until somebody or something dials 911. So if you've got like a Ring doorbell or something like that, here locally in Douglas County, Colorado, they're not even coming until a person verifies it. So you're thinking, I'll hit the button and in 3 minutes, here comes a SWAT team. No, they're not even leaving until they talk to a person because there's so many, those are so commonplace. There's so many false alarms. That's all they would do is just go check false alarms all day. So talking to the cops, like we don't even come until maybe they talk to the lady from ADT or they talk to your wife, they talk to you, or they talk to somebody. Now they're coming. So you're hiding and saying, well, I'm just going to hide for 3 minutes. Nah, they're probably not coming at all. So that's good to know, especially if you're in a school and you're in charge of children. Here locally, Valor High School, their old security director said, we just got to hold tight for 3 minutes. That's our plan. So that's a bad plan. Your new plan should be, we're going to have a response, even if the cops don't come. And if they do, the plan gets better. So how do we deconflict with cops that are coming when our own security personnel have already taken care of this thing, right? So that's what we want to talk about, seconds, not minutes. People say it's only 5 minutes, and I could show you massacres, and we do these classes where we'll show you recorded massacres, and I have somebody count off the minutes. So you're watching what seems like an eternity, and the guy goes, 1. I'm like, that was only 1 minute, and then you see all these people killed. 2, and you're like, wow, like somebody please get there. So obviously, if these are children, every gunshot means something, and it's not target practice, it means something. So somebody's got to get in there and neutralize that threat. So that's what we talk about when we start with that defend training modules. We send this to police and churches and schools all over the country, and then say you got to back those things up. So when they actually do them, a lot of times for businesses, schools, churches, there's a free assessment. There's companies that do assessments for literally $10,000, $15,000. They'll hand you a stack of paper. It's all about your business. You pay them your $15,000. That depletes the church's budget, and they don't have any money to do anything, right? So that's unfortunate. So all that stuff kind of like insurance or legal documents, is kind of fill in the blank. You got to tweak it a bit. So we give that away for free. So we have emergency operation procedures. We have a 50 question assessment tool that's yes or no. And when we just the way we built it was into a spreadsheet. So when they click no, then they don't get any value. When they click yes, they get a score. And most of these come out with a very low score, and that's okay. It just means now your plan is make the no's a yes, and you're going to get more and more safe. So we helped outfit the what I would call the safest school in Colorado, is a Christian school here locally. They started with that yes or no questionnaire, and then they just started spending some money, getting some resources, raising some money, and now, including armed guards, they've got the safest school in this state. So it really is just kind of like, hey, let's find out the problem, let's provide a solution, and heaven forbid if this happens, it's just got to be common sense. It's got to be real. Like if somebody's going to show up at my kid's school to hurt them, somebody's got to make them stop. And this is what protection is, by the way. It's self-defense and then stand in front of somebody else, right? So if you can defend yourself spiritually, mentally, and physically, now stand in front of my daughter. And if you can't, then what are you even doing? Like, kind of what good are you? You know what I mean? It's like people are like, I'm a teacher. It's not my job to protect kids. I say it's every adult's job to protect kids, period. Like, that's the deal. It's got to be that way. The big ones must protect the little ones. Okay. So moving off that kind of thing, I'll switch to vehicles real quick because National Preparedness Month and your vehicles, now's the time in September to check. Not that anybody messes with their radiator anymore, but if you've topped it off or did anything like that on an old truck or something, you can test the antifreeze to make sure when it gets cold, it's not going to crack your block, right? So you got to make sure that that the fluid's going through there. One of the things that I picked up recently off Amazon, and it doesn't matter because as soon as I show you it, there'll be a new one out. But these guys are super cool. We go camping a lot and we spend some time in the mountains with a bunch of kids and whatever uh, daddy daughter campouts or riding motorcycles with my kids. If you haven't seen these little jump boxes, as soon as your daughter goes to charge her phone and you don't know about it, in the morning your truck's not going to start and you're in the mountains. So it's a problem. You can literally, plug your phone in. There's a flashlight on here, but once you plug this in, this is enough to start my V8, 5.7 liter engine, my Toyota Tundra, right? So if it goes completely dead, it might not work. But I've saved so many people, not just me, with this thing because you just keep it topped off. I'm surprised how long the battery stays charged. But now you're save the day guy, right? If it's completely dead, like it was on all weekend and you didn't know it, like the dome light or the whatever, then they do make jumper cables that are very small. So this little pack like this, you pull this out and they're just jumper cables. They're probably not going to start a semi, but you don't need, that much cranking power if you've got just a regular vehicle, right? To include a V8 pickup truck. Um, some of the stuff that we talked about with preparation, now we're switching into the home. So preparedness month in the home was I'll typically max every 2 years, but every year I would typically just go to Amazon and buy a pack of 9-volt batteries and then get on a ladder in the daytime while I'm awake and change all your smoke detectors and your carbon monoxide and all that. Why? Because it's September. Like September, there's got to be a mark for when are we doing this stuff. And I did this a couple like last year, and a SEAL team buddy from across the nation. It was like November, and he was like, I meant to do it. And then he's laying in bed, and it's like beep. And his wife's like, now, like handle that. And he's crawling around the house and trying to fix it and doing all that. He's about to fall down the steps, on a folding chair at 3 in the morning and try to not to wake up the kids. So something to think about, knowing also that those things are not, they're not forever. So smoke detectors, carbon monoxide. After a while, you're gonna change your battery. It's gonna keep beeping because it's time to go in the trash. So those things have a lifespan and they need to be replaced. And it's somebody's job to do it. It's probably you. And it's a good time. Just September, switch them out. And if for whatever it is, $10 to get all those 9-volt batteries every year is just not a big deal. Probably can go two. There's even a thing I was gonna pull out called a battery tender. It's just a box, about a briefcase thing. You just fill it full of batteries. You like go to Costco or something and just chunk that thing full of batteries, and you're going to be here at Christmas time when they get the toys and all that, and you're just going to be ready for that kind of stuff. But that's going to be handy too when those things go dead. So something to think about in your house. Now, preparation on another front for your home would be the front door. So if you watch videos of like home invasion kind of stuff, this would be for your business or for your house. If you have ever changed out the hardware on your door, the screws are about that long, about a half-inch long, right? They're not much, maybe 3/4, but there isn't much going on, which only goes into trim work, which means if this house was to code, I could go outside, mule kick that door in. The only thing holding it closed with both a deadbolt and my doorknob is trim work. The trim work's going to fly. The door's going to fling open. Now somebody within seconds is in my home. So they make things that'll dissipate the energy like a piece of steel. One's called Door Devil. But really, what you can do effectively today is go get 2.5 inch to 3 inch deck screws and just replace every screw. Because now you're biting into 2x4s and you can kick that door as hard as you want. Now I get it. There's a sliding glass doors, there's other things, but the data shows, and data's good until it isn't, right? That most of those things come right through the front door, right? That you can get cut up. I've obviously the SEAL teams crawl through windows. You can get cut up bad coming through windows, get hurt. The easiest thing is just kicking the front door. So you replace those screws, and now you mule kick that 20 times. If it does come open, you've given your wife an opportunity to go into the pantry, to go into the bedroom, get a firearm, and stand in front of your kids, right? So that's the thing that we talk about protection, whether it be individual or in your home or in your business. There's a thing, concentric rings of security just means rings with the same center. It means you want layers. I want layers of security. Some people that live in the country have actually a motion detector and it beeps when somebody drives onto their property. That's a good outer ring. You got a good solid front door, good perimeter. Like in my business, we've got 3M film. It's not bulletproof, but it's they call it ballistic. You hit it with a bat 25 times. It just takes a while. Now alarms are going off. We get a pistol and go find out what's going on with this crazy person, right? So that's another layer. What you wouldn't want is Rachel Graham standing right here, look up, she's cooking spaghetti. She looks up and there's a dude in the living room, right? So something broke. We didn't have any kind of perimeter. So he's setting some kind of perimeter at home, at work, at church, all those things to just make sure that you have time to get some kind of posture. So in this pantry and upstairs next to my bed, FAS, the number one safe, fastonesafe.com, are solid steel safes. They're pretty small. I punch in a code, turn a button, and then it pops open like a tonneau cover, right? It just pops open with a pneumatic deal. And there's a loaded gun. It's the same box, it's the same code, it's the very similar pistol in both of those. And they're not electric. So the electronic stuff can be very fast when it works. I've had problems with electronic stuff. If it gets wet, you just fried it. If my wife spilled hot chocolate or the kids, whatever, hot chocolate, her coffee on that thing, it might be fried. And then next year I try to open it, not realizing the thing's all burned up. So I really like mechanic military. You guys probably remember cipher locks when you're coming into like a secure skiff or a door. You don't remember the numbers. You remember like, top, bottom, center, like that. So you can do that at night very quietly and then turn it and it pops open. So the one I've got upstairs is probably 10 years old. The one I've got behind me is probably 5 years old. It's the same exact one and they just work and they're going to work for the next 20 years, right? Because it's a mechanical mechanism. And then the time I got remaining, I just want to talk about a couple things that are essential, especially with with guys and vets, is that there's stuff you kind of should that you would like, and there's stuff you need. You need an AR, period. Like you got to have one. And then why would you need this particular one? I like Daniel Defense, American company. I've met Marty Daniel many times. I've been out there. I did a video from Daniel Defense in Georgia. This one is a shorter. It mimics the one that I used in GRS. So when I was a bodyguard for the CIA, it was an HK 416. This mimics it with a 10.5 inch barrel, a very fast optic. It's got a flashlight, and it's actually a pistol. So because it's an arm brace, this people don't think about if things got really bad, you'd be driving with this next to your leg in your car. So when you get in and out of cars, 16-inch barrels a lot. This is accurate within, it'll go back past 200, but we grade people out to 200 yards. Very, very fast system for kind of like city type environments, right? The next thing is you need a good pistol, right? We customize this pistol. This is a Glock 19. Glock 19 is the F-150 of pistols. We customize it because a lot of people don't like, it's already been cleared and all that. They don't like the square Glock. So we have the milled. It's got our Able Shepherd logo on there. It's just got everything done. So extended controls. It's got a green dot. It's the lowest one we could find on the market because a lot of old school guys like iron sights. So we tried to get it as low as possible for an easy transition. It's got a little bit, mine's got a little bit of a mag well on there. Not that I need it. It just keeps my hand off the magazine and makes the reloads faster. So you should have in this order a primary because pistols don't win wars. The second you step outside with your pistol, you might be outgunned. You're seeing AR platforms and AK-47s and hunting rifles, all that stuff showing up to hurt people. And you want to make sure that you're ready for the job. And while it's still illegal to do so, I highly, highly, highly recommend that every home has a capable platform. AR would be a good choice. More concealable. And if you had to move around with people or you're working at church and all that, I would go with that pistol, that Glock 19. Or the one that I carry. I don't like leather holsters unless it's called Milt Spark. Built Sparks Criterion, this has been cleared, is a leather holster with a metal insert, and it's the best one I've ever found. Keep trying Kydex, and I keep coming back to this for comfort, for the way they grabbed it. A holster should do a couple things. It should protect the trigger guard. It should seat it all the way in there, and you should be able to get your hand. You shouldn't be touching leather or plastic between the gun and your fingers. So full solid grip, and it should stay put, right? These are magnetic cups. It goes inside my pants. These grab hold of my belt, and I pull it on and off probably 5, 10 times a day. So I just want to, this is a Glock 43X, which is a single stack, which means it's very thin. The Glock 19, you can conceal, it's just fat and it's heavy. People are like, I want 15 rounds. 15, 5 more rounds is actually heavier also and fatter, especially in the summertime. So I carry this configuration. I like a rubber Hogue grip to make it a little bit fatter. But it's a 10 round capability. It's still 9 millimeter. It's enough to control, and it's super controllable and fast. And then I'll say you want, but you need one of these too. This is probably the most fun out there. It's a for training. People love it. It's a suppressed 22. You can't see it because I put a new handguard on there, but there's a suppressor inside here. Also has a light, 3 power optic by primary arms, and it's chambered in 22 caliber, which means there's zero kick and it's whisper quiet. Um, I shot a bobcat with this thing because we lost a couple chickens, and I don't live in the country, so between us, it's probably not a place where you're supposed to be shooting. But it was amazing. It just check your back arrow and all that kind of stuff. And as that thing, these things are they're amazing to train your wife and kids. They love shooting it, and every time they touch it, they're training for the bigger one. It's exact same controls. Having these kind of setups, it just means, we teach de-escalation, we teach the nice guy stuff, we try all that. Some people flat out don't care. Some people want the world to burn, right? So what's going to stop them? Good men that are capable to say they have the heart, but they also have the capability and the integrity to step up and say, you don't do that, right? The thing that happened on the train that we all saw as a dad, when I see Arinya look up at this guy after being stabbed and looks up like, why? And then she crumbles and dies alone. It's unacceptable, right? So I believe wrote a book about all this stuff called Return of Man. It's on Amazon Prime. I've got another one coming out very soon, maybe next month. Got How Do You Love a Fish? That's a kid's book, trying to reinstate values into our children. Themes like manners, please and thank you, sir and ma'am. May I please have, like talking all this stuff, how to handshake, look people in the eye, and do all that stuff. My 17-year-old daughter has been called intimidating because she looks people in the eye, shakes their hand, and says, "Nice to meet you." And now young girls freak out and say that was very intimidating. And again, that's unacceptable. That's exactly what it should look like. And it's cool. The teachers dig it. They appreciate it. The other parents dig it. And the kids should already know it. A lot of times they don't know it because their parents don't know it. So I'm hoping that that book will actually get parents to actually think about the way they talk to people, then teach their young people, and then they actually do better. So, any questions? Because I've been going and I want to make sure that I leave a couple minutes for questions. Homeschool, church, walking around in the street, preparedness, and whatever that might mean to you.
Jimmy, do
Hey,
you go ahead, Hunter. Go ahead.
I was going to say I love everything you're putting out. And it was a lot of information, kind of packed in a short period of time. What's the best way to kind of like learn more from you? Like, I love the tips that you're giving on a lot of the stuff. These are things that I frankly don't have. Having lived in California a little over a year ago and now moving here and just kind of trying to get set up better. I'd love to learn more of like tips and tricks and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So on YouTube, it would be Abel Shepherd. We've got a channel, and that's
Cool.
everything from this kind of stuff to breaching to taking kids out in the mountains and riding motorcycles, right? So it's all that, to me, it's all the same thing. It's not segregated, it's not compartmentalized. Um, but on Facebook, it would be Jimmy Graham. I personally put most of this stuff out, like quite a bit, on my Facebook at Jimmy Graham. And then ableshepherd.com is our website. I'm on LinkedIn, but we try to like disseminate most of it. YouTube, Facebook will be coming from me. Everything else will be my team will extrapolate that stuff and create content and put it out there. And you're in Colorado, so just come see us. We're in Centennial, so just north of the airport, Centennial Airport.
Oh, cool. Like you guys have like an actual
We've
like
got we've
legit.
got a live fire range, we've got a shoot house, we've got outdoor ranges, we've got all that stuff. So
Oh, that's legit. That's
we've got
awesome.
a progressive training program that people just go until they just keep going for years, and they're doing amazing things. We're actually doing a thing out in Maine next week where we're teaching entries, Overwatch out to 600 yards, and then patrol. And we've got this will be our first live fire patrol. So people just new at this will actually be slowly patrolling, and targets are popping up, and they're shooting and knocking them over and all that kind of stuff. So we can do some
Super
pretty cool,
cool.
man.
Yeah, this is good, man. I'm glad you signed up for this because, you know, the Military Investor Network isn't just about like investing to make money. It's investing in a whole lot more than just making money. We're investing eternally into our families, into our protection and service. And so this is really good. Um, to also Hunter's point, like um and maybe I'm not trying to task you with anything, but like if there's any type of like almost like a checklist, right? National Preparedness Month like checklist of like things to like mark off your list, the batteries, the front door, like all the things, like that'd be pretty cool. Again, I'm not trying to task you, but like that
No,
would
no.
be
I had some printed materials I was going to show you, but I couldn't get my thing to work without losing you guys. So
send it
I'll
to
get that to you, and then you can
yeah,
do that.
send it to me and I'll distribute it because that would be super helpful. I'll post that and I'm gonna push this out to a larger audience. So I think this
Yeah,
would be
and,
cool.
and you know the business aspect of it too, because all this stuff applies to that, and our mottos take care of one another. And I think if we got better at that, that's not a thing I made up. That's an ancient thing. If
Yeah.
we were better at it, we'd be living in a better state. So
And so this is, currently on my mind and my heart is just the security and protection of our children in both the churches and the schools. Like so, and you teach that stuff through your company. Like how do we as dads and churchgoers, our kids are in school, like how do we get our schools and our churches to be prepared more? Like how do we is it just like a find out who that, security person is and make that connection directly to you at Able Shepherd? Like, how do we get engaged more to where like we know that our children are safe at the school that we send them to and the church that we go to has those, security place, things in force?
yeah, I think it's like anything else. You got to learn a little bit about a little bit. You don't need to learn all of it, but you need to
Yeah.
know enough to go like, this is unacceptable, and I'm kind of paying for better. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. So parents are like, hey, the door was propped open for the fifth time this week, and I walked right in, whatever. And now they're like, okay, and then hand them a brochure, and then like I said, if they don't trust it, they're not going to use it. So they got to trust that we could explain all that stuff to them. We do that
Yeah.
all the
No, that's good. That's good.
time. Good question.
Um, cool. Anybody else?
I was just going to ask, kind of on the checklist thing, if like links and stuff like that, again, not to task, but like when you talk about like the safe and different things like that, some of your recommendations, do you already have some of that
I
stuff
do. I do.
linked
Some
or
of
accessible?
the on ableshepherd.com, you'll go to gear when you talk about the firearms stuff, but I'll put a quick thing together. It won't take long at all. We send this out quite a bit. So I can put those links on there just to point you in the right direction. If you have
Cool.
any questions, just let me know.
I had another quick question on your guys' website. Do you guys talk about like go bags per se? Like, hey, stuff really hits the fan and I need to get
Yeah.
out of here. Like just having a bag of like stuff, like things that you recommend.
Yeah, there's like a whole plethora of videos when you go into Able
Really?
Shepherd.
Okay.
There's also, I'll give you another resource called standinthegapinitiative.com. In 2020, 2021, when the world was just on fire, we got together and a bunch of dudes, not just me, we put stuff on water storage, on this and that, like all that. And you're local. So once a year, we pack up kind of like a go bag kind of situation. We pack up an overnight bag and we start walking out of Littleton where you're at. We walk to Parker all night. We start at midnight. We like hunker down in the bushes and sleep because we're like weird like that. But it's a gear shakeout. You're like, hey man, if you had to get home, and then we rack out for a couple hours, I wake everybody up and we walk to breakfast. And we just talk all night. But really what you're doing is you're checking out your shoes, you're checking out your bag, you're checking out, man, I wish I'd have brought a warmer jacket, like all that stuff. And it's super cool and it's fun. It builds community and it lets you know people, get to know people. And the card that I'll send you guys on the back, it has meeting will end in 10 minutes. Oh, on the backside, it's got a community. Like you should have 12 people with their name that you trust with your kids on that refrigerator because your kids need to see it.
That's awesome. I'd love to do that. That's sick.
Yeah, really cool.
Cool, man. Well, this was amazing. I knew it would be. So I appreciate your time, Jimmy. And
Thanks.
we'll post this up. I'm gonna push this out to a larger audience for sure. And yeah, send me whatever you got as far as links and PDFs or whatever, and I'll send it out to the entire group.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Good to meet
Thanks,
you.
brother. Good to see you, man. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.